Poem 1 of The Winnowing Fan, Poems on the Great War. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by David Wales. The Winnowing Fan, Poems on the Great War, by Robert Lawrence Binyon. Poem 1, The 4th of August. Now in thy splendor go before us, Spirit of England, ardent-eyed, enkindle this dear earth that bore us in the hour of peril purified. The cares we hugged drop out of vision, our hearts with deeper thoughts dilate. We step from days of sour division into the grandeur of our fate. For us the glorious dead have striven, they battled that we might be free. We to their living cause are given, we arm for men that are to be. Among the nations nobliest chartered, England recalls her heritage. In her is that which is not bartered, which force can neither quell nor cage. For her immortal stars are burning, with her the hope that's never done, the seed that's in the springs returning, the very flower that seeks the sun. She fights the fraud that feeds desire on lies, in a lust to enslave or kill, the barren creed of blood and iron, vampire of Europe's wasted will. Endure, O earth, and thou awaken, purged by this dreadful winnowing fan, O wronged, untamable, unshaken soul of divinely suffering man. End of the 4th of August. Two of The Winnowing Fan, Poems on the Great War, by Robert Lawrence Binyon. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Poem 2, Strange Fruit. This year the grain is heavy ripe, the apple shows a ruddier stripe. Never berries so profuse, blackened with so sweet a juice, on brambly hedges summer died, the yellow leaves begin to glide. But earth in careless lapful treasures, pledge of over-brimming measures, as if some rich unwonted zest stirred prodigal within her breast. And now, while plenty's left uncared, the fruit unplucked, the sickle spared, where men go forth to waste and spill, toiling to burn, destroy, and kill, lo, also, side by side with these beast-hunger's ravening miseries, the heart of man has brought to birth splendours richer than his earth. Now, in the thunder hour of fate, each one is kinder to his mate. The surly smile, the hard forbear, there's help and hope for all to share. And sudden visions of good will, transcending all the scope of ill, like a glory of rare weather, link us in common light together, a clearness of the cleansing sun, where none's alone and all are one. And touching each a priceless pain, we find our own true hearts again. No more the easy masks deceive, we give, we dare, and we believe. End of Strange Fruit. Three of The Winnowing Fan, Poems on the Great War, by Robert Lawrence Binyon. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Poem 3, The New Idol. Magnificent the beast. Look in the eyes of the fell tiger towering on his prey, beautiful in his power to pounce and slay, and effortless in action. He denies all but himself, he gloats on his weak prize, roaring the anger of wild breath at bay, blank anger like an element whose way is mere annihilation, terrible eyes. But there is one more to be feared, who can escape the prison of his own wrath, whose will lives beyond life, who smiles with quiet lips, most terrible because most tender, man. Not only uncowed, but irresistible when the cause fires him to the finger tips. End of the New Idyll. 4 of the Winnowing Fan, Poems on the Great War, by Robert Lawrence Binyon. This recording is in the public domain. Poem 4, The Harvest. Red reapers under these sad August skies, proud war lords, careless of 10,000 dead, who leave earth's kindly crops unharvested, as you have left the kindness of the wise for brutal menace and for clumsy lies, the spawn of insolence by bragging fed, with power and fraud in faith's and honor's stead, accounting these but good stupidities. You reap a heavier harvest than you know. Disnaturing a nation, you have thieved her name, her patient genius, while you thought to fool the world and master it. You sought reality. It comes in hate and woe. In the end, you also shall not be deceived. End of The Harvest. Of the Winnowing Fan, Poems on the Great War, by Robert Lawrence Binyon. This recording is in the public domain. Poem 5, To the Belgians. O race that Caesar knew, that one stern Roman praise, what land not envies you the laurel of these days? You built your cities rich, around each towered hall, without the statued niche, within the pictured wall. Your ship-thronged wharves, your marts with gorgeous Venice vied, peace and her famous arts were yours, though tide on tide of Europe's battle-scourged, black field and reddened soil, from blood and smoke emerged peace and her fruitful toil. Yet when the challenge rang, the war-lord comes, give room, fearless to arms you sprang, against the odds of doom. Like your own Damien, who sought that leper's isle, to die a simple man for men with tranquil smile, so strong in faith you dared defy the giant, scorn ignobly to be spared, though trampled, spoiled, and torn. And in your faith arose and smote again, till those astonished foes reeled from their mounds of slain. The faith that the free soul, untaught by force to quail, through fire and dirge and dole, prevails and shall prevail. Still for your frontier stands the host that knew no dread, your little stubborn lands, nameless, immortal dead. End of To the Belgians. The Winnowing Fan, Poems on the Great War, by Robert Lawrence Binyon. This recording is in the public domain. Poem 6, Louvain. To Dom Brun d'Estrées, O.S.B. 1. It was the very heart of peace that thrilled in the deep minster bell's wide-throbbing sound, when over old roofs evening seemed to build security this world has never found. Your cloister looked from Caesar's rampart high o'er the fair city, clustered orchard trees married their murmur with the dreaming sky. It was the house of love and living peace. And there we talked of youth's delightful years, in Italy, in England. Now, O friend, I know not if I speak to living ears, or if upon you too is come the end. Peace is on Louvain, dead peace of spilt blood upon the mounded ashes where she stood. 2. But from that blood, those ashes there arose, not hoped-for terror cowering as it ran, but divine anger flaming upon those defamers of the very name of man, abortions of their blind hyena creed, who for protection of their battle host against the unarmed of them they had made to bleed, whose hearts they had tortured to the uttermost without a cause, past pardon, fired and tore the towers of fame and beauty, while they shot and butchered the defenceless in the door. But history shall hang them high, to rot unburied in the face of times unborn, mankind's abomination and last scorn. End of Louvain. The Winnowing Fan, Poems on the Great War, by Robert Lawrence Binyon. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Poem 7, To Goethe. Goethe, who saw and who foretold a world revealed new springing from its ashes old on Valmy field, when Prussia's sullen hosts retired before the advance of ragged, starved, but freedom-fired soldiers of France. If still those clear Olympian eyes through smoke and rage your ancient Europe scrutinize, what think you, sage? Are these the armies of the light that seek to drown the light of lands where freedom's fight has won renown? Will they blot also out your name because you praise all works of men that shrine the flame of beauty's ways, wherever men have proved them great, nor drunk with pride saw but a single swollen state and naught beside, nor dreamed of drilling Europe's mind with threat and blow the way professors have designed genius should go? Or shall a people rise at length and see and shake the fetters from its giant strength, and grandly break this pedantry of feud and force to man untrue, thundering and blundering on its course to death and rue? End of To Goethe. Of The Winnowing Fan, Poems on the Great War, by Robert Lawrence Binyon. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Poem 8, At Rheims. Their hearts were burning in their breasts, too hot for curse or cries. They stared upon the towers that burned before their smarting eyes. There, where since France began to be, anointed kings knelt down, there where the maid, the unafraid, received her vision's crown, the senseless shell with nightmare scream burst, and fair fragments fell, torn from their centuries of peace as by the rage of hell. What help for wrath, what use for wail, before a dumb despair all ancient, high, heroic France seemed burning, bleeding there? Within, the pillars soar to gloom, lit by the glimmering rose, spirits of beauty shrined in stone, afar from mortal woes, hearing not, though their haunted shade is stricken, and all around with splintering flash and brutal crash the ghostly aisles resound. And there, upon the pavement stretched, the German wounded groan, to see the dropping flames of death and feel the shells their own. Too fierce the fire, helped by their foes, they stagger out to air. The green-grey coats are seen, are known, through all the crowded square. Ah, now for vengeance! Deep the groan, a death knell, quietly soldiers unsling their rifles, lift and aim with steady eye. But sudden in the hush, between death and the doomed, there stands against those levelled guns a priest, gentle with outstretched hands. Be not as guilty as they, he cries. Each lets his weapon fall, as if a vision showed him France, and vengeance vain and small. End of At Rheims. Of The Winnowing Fan, Poems on the Great War, by Robert Lawrence Binyon. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Poem 9, To the Enemy Complaining. Be ruthless then, scorn slaves of scruple, avow the blow, planned with such patience that you deal so terribly, hack on, and care not how the innocent fall, live out your faith of steel. Then you speak speech that we can comprehend. It cries from the unpitied blood you spill. And so we stand against you, and to the end flame as one man, the weapon of one will. But when your lips usurp the loyal phrase of honour, querulously voluble, of chivalry and kindness, and you praise what you despise for weakness of the fool, then the gorge rises. Bleat to dupe the dead, the wolf beneath the sheepskin drips too red. End of To the Enemy Complaining. Ten of The Winnowing Fan, Poems on the Great War, by Robert Lawrence Binyon. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Poem 10, To Women. Your hearts are lifted up, your hearts that have foreknown the utter price. Your hearts burn upward like a flame of splendor and of sacrifice. For you too, to battle go, not with the marching drums and cheers, but in the watch of solitude, and through the boundless night of fears. Swift, swifter than those hawks of war, those threatening wings that pulse the air, far as the vanward ranks are set, you are gone before them, you are there. And not a shot comes blind with death, and not a stab of steel is pressed home, but invisibly it tore and entered first a woman's breast. Amid the thunder of the guns, the lightnings of the lance and sword, your hope, your dread, your throbbing pride, your infinite passion is outpoured from hearts that are as one high heart, withholding naught from doom and bale, burningly offered up, to bleed, to bear, to break, but not to fail. End of To Women. of The Winnowing Fan, Poems on the Great War, by Robert Lawrence Binyon. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Poem 11, For the Fallen. With proud thanksgiving, a mother for her children, England mourns for her dead across the sea. Flesh of her flesh they were, spirit of her spirit, fallen in the cause of the free. Solemn the drums thrill, death august and royal sings sorrow up into immortal spheres. There is music in the midst of desolation, and a glory that shines upon our tears. They went with songs to the battle, they were young, straight of limb, true of eye, steady and aglow, they were staunch to the end against odds uncounted, they fell with their faces to the foe. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. They mingle not with their laughing comrades again, they sit no more at familiar tables of home. They have no lot in our labour of the daytime, they sleep beyond England's foam. But where our desires are, and our hopes profound, felt as a well-spring that is hidden from sight, to the innermost heart of their own land they are known, as the stars are known to the night. As the stars that shall be bright when we are dust, moving in marches upon the heavenly plain, as the stars that are starry in the time of our darkness, to the end they remain. End of For the Fallen. Poem 12 of The Winnowing Fan, Poems on the Great War, by Robert Lawrence Binyon. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Poem 12, Ode for September. 1. On that long day when England held her breath, suddenly gripped at heart, and called to choose her part between her loyal soul and luring sophistries, we watched the wide green-bosomed land beneath driven and tumultuous skies. We watched the volley of white shower after shower desolate with fierce drops the fallen flower, And still the rain's retreat drew glory on its track, And still, when all was darkness and defeat, Upon dissolving cloud the bow of peace shone back. So in our hearts was alternating beat, With very dread elate, And earth dyed all her day in colours of our fate. II. But oh, how faint the image we foretold In fancies of our fear, Now that the truth is here! And we awake from dreams, yet think it still a dream. It bursts our thoughts with more than thought can hold, And more than human seem these agonies of conflict, Elements at war, yet not with vast indifference Casually crushing, nay, it is as if were hurled Lightnings that murdered, seeking out their prey, As if an earthquake shook to chaos half the world, Equal in purpose as in power to slay, And thunder stunned our ears, Streaming in rain of blood on torrents that are tears. III. Around a planet rolls the drum's alarm. Far where the summer smiles upon the utmost isles, Danger is treading silent as a fever breath. Now in the north the secret waters arm, Under the wave is death. They fight in the very air, the virgin air, Hovering on fierce wings to the onset. There nations to battle stream, earth smokes and cities burn. Heaven thickens in a storm of shells that scream. The long lines shattering break, turn and again return, And still across a continent they teem, Moving in myriads, more than ranks of flesh and blood, But soul with soul at war. IV. All the hells are awake. The old serpents hiss from dungeons of the mind. Fury of hate born blind, madness and lust, Despairs and treacheries unclean, They shudder up from man's most dark abyss. But there are heavens serene that answer strength with strength, They stand secure. They arm us from within and we endure. Now are the brave more brave, now is the cause more dear. The more the tempests of the darkness rave, As, when the sun goes down, the shining stars are clear, Radiant the spirit rushes to the grave. Glorious it is to live in such an hour, But life is lovelier yet to give. V. Alas! what comfort for the uncomforted, Who knew no cause, nor sought glory or gain. They are taught, homeless in homes that burn, What human hearts can bear. The children stumble over their dear dead, Wandering they know not where. And there is one who simply fights, obeys, Tramps till he loses count of nights and days, Tired, mired in dust and sweat, Far from his own hearthstone. A common man of common earth, And yet the battle winner he, A man of no renown, Where food for cannon pays a nation's debt. This is earth's hero, whom The pride of empire tosses careless to his doom. VI. Now will we speak, while we have eyes for tears, And fibres to be wrung, and in our mouths a tongue. We will bear wrongs untold, but will not only bear, but build through striving years The answer of our prayer, That whosoever has the noble name of man Shall not be yoked to alien shame. That life shall be indeed life, not permitted breath Of spirits wrenched and forced to others' need, Robbed of their nature's joy, and free alone in death. The world shall travail in that cause, shall bleed, But deep in hope it dwells, until the morning break, Which the long night foretells. VII. O children filled with your own airy glee, Or with a grief that comes so swift, so strange it numbs, If on your growing youth this page of terror bite, Harden not then your senses, feel and be The promise of the light. O heirs of man, keep in your hearts not less The divine torrents of his tenderness. 'Tis ever war, but rust grows on the sword. The tail of earth is strewn with empires heaped in dust, because they dreamed that force should punish and prevail. The will to kindness lives beyond their lust, their grandeurs are undone. Deep, deep within man's soul are all his victories won. End of Ode for September. End of The Winnowing Fan, Poems on the Great War, by Robert Lawrence Binyon.